25 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. It is time for News Bites. This is the portion of AM Ocala Live when Robin and I read the news to you. We take the news from around the world, around the nation, around the state, and around town, and we shorten it so that in the next 25 minutes, you will hear as many stories as we can possibly deliver to you. We'll also tell you the news agency we're getting the news story from so that you can look up the story yourself on the internet. Most of these stories are covered by most of these news agencies. The first story comes from ABC News. Alex Schreibel is the 16-year-old student who police say stabbed 22 people at his Pennsylvania high school yesterday. And he is confused, scared, and depressed, according to his attorney in a statement made to ABC News in an exclusive interview on Good Morning America, where he said, "I think he understands what he did." Attorney Patrick Thomasy said, "I don't think he, at this point, understands the gravity of what he did. I don't think he realizes how severely injured some of these people are, and hopefully there's no death involved in any of these. We're praying that everyone is all right," is the quote. Thomasy said he's unaware of any signs of Schreibel's being bullied, adding that the teen's parents are shocked and horrified. They could not have predicted that this was going to happen, he said. They don't understand how this occurred. The stabbing spree happened at Franklin Regional High School in Murraysville, a suburb located about 20 miles east of Pittsburgh. Morgan Ritchie, who said she was in two classes with Schreibel, described him as being a little misunderstood.
As the 50th anniversary of the passage of the Civil Rights Act nears, almost 8 in 10 Americans, including most whites and most blacks, say passage of the 1964 Act was a very important event in U.S. history. 17% call it somewhat important, while just 4% think it was not an important event. In addition to its historical importance, Americans think the Civil Rights Act has had a positive effect on both the country overall and on blacks in the U.S. 81% think the act has been good for the country, while a mere 1% thinks it has been bad. 16% say it has not made much difference, reported by CBS.
ABC News is the news agency for the next story. Oscar Pistorius chose the timing of his apology to slain girlfriend Reva Steenkamp's family to have the maximum benefit for himself, according to a statement by prosecutor Jerry Nell in an argument in the athlete's murder trial as it continues today. Nell said Pistorius had no regard for the feelings of Steenkamp's relatives and could have apologized in private, but instead he waited more than a year, wanting to create a spectacle at the High Court in Pretoria. "I don't think they'd ever want to meet me," Pistorius said, his voice shaky. "I completely understand where they are coming from." Nell pressed the athlete, who's known as Blade Runner because of his prosthetic legs, to properly apologize for killing Steenkamp. "I am terribly sorry I took the life of their daughter," Pistorius said. Nell, the prosecuting attorney, reading passages from the couple's text messages aloud, told the court several times that the relationship between Pistorius and Steenkamp was all about Oscar, choosing messages that appear to show Pistorius acting moody, rude, or emotionally indifferent. He also asserted that the text messages on Steenkamp's phone only contained the phrase, "I love you," on 2 occasions, both in messages that she wrote to her mother. Those words were never used between Pistorius and Steenkamp, the prosecuting attorney pointed out to the jury.
Toyota announced 5 recalls yesterday, affecting a total of 6.39 million vehicles globally. The recalls cover 27 Toyota TM models, including Camry, Corolla, Matrix, and Highlander, the Pontiac Vibe, and the Subaru Trezla. Some of the vehicles were made as early as 2004. Toyota plans to inspect and, if necessary, replace parts including seat rails, steering column brackets, engine starters, windshield wiper motors, and airbag cables. The announcement affects around 2 million vehicles in North America, which may be experiencing problems with an airbag cable and seat rails, reported by CNN.
And the next story is from the Associated Press. A suspected contract killer charged in Central California with killing 9 people, confessed to investigators that he carried out up to 40 slayings in a career spanning decades, according to a statement from a prosecutor issued yesterday. Eric Jett, the district attorney in Lawrence County, Alabama, said that Jose Manuel Martinez, who is 51 years old, told investigators he carried out the crimes working as an enforcer for a drug cartel. Jett said they believe Martinez because of the details he gave investigators. Martinez was arrested last year shortly after crossing the border from Mexico into Arizona and then sent to Alabama, where he awaits trial on one murder charge. Once word got out, a steady stream of investigators from across the country came to question Martinez. Defense attorney Thomas Turner, who represents Martinez in that lone case, said his client is eager to start a June trial in Alabama so he can return to California. Turner said Martinez maintains his innocence to the charge there and doesn't seem to be a hardened killer. I've found him to be polite and a likable individual, Turner said. He has a good personality as far as talking with him. Prosecutors in California say otherwise.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus is butt naked on the cover of the latest issue of Rolling Stone with a fake tattoo of the text of the U.S. Constitution scrawled across her back. At age 53, the 4-time Emmy winner and star of HBO's Veep looks absolutely fantastic in the revealing photo. The cover fittingly hails Louis-Dreyfus as the First Lady of Comedy, her current accolades coming for her role as the brazen, cynical, relentlessly self-absorbed, and yet somehow so watchable Vice President Selena Meyer on the HBO hit. Talking about her nearly 30-year career in showbiz, which kicked off in 1985 when she broke through on Saturday Night Live, Louis-Dreyfus notes how not that common longevity such as hers is in Hollywood. The April 24th issue of Rolling Stone will be on newsstands tomorrow.
The next story is from Fox News. The man being sought in the probe of a deadly car crash into a Florida daycare center was the driver of the vehicle that fled the scene, according to a statement from authorities that was issued this morning. The Florida Highway Patrol had previously characterized 26-year-old Robert Alex Corchado, a person of interest in the Wednesday afternoon crash, but spokeswoman Wanda Diaz said in a statement early this morning that Corchado was driving the Dodge Durango that struck a convertible, which then jumped a curb and smashed into the kinder care building. One girl died from that crash. 14 others, mostly children, were injured. Corchado, who was most recently arrested in December on drug charges and for leaving the scene of a crash involving damage, now is wanted on charges of leaving the scene of a crash involving a death and serious injuries. Officials believe Corchado was trying to flee Orlando. He has been arrested 8 times since 2000. A statement released by the Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children yesterday evening confirmed that one child had been killed in the incident at Goldenrod Road Kindercare, 10 miles northeast of Orlando. Diaz said the tragedy was caused by a Toyota Solara convertible that went out of control after it was rear-ended by a Dodge Durango, jumped a curb and smashed into the daycare, breaking through the wall and into the building. The convertible driver, identified as 61-year-old Albert Dean Campbell, was not injured. The Durango that hit the convertible left the scene, but was located almost 2 hours later after it had been abandoned at a home. I'm going to cut to the other information I have on this story because the Highway Patrol is asking that if you see the car that he rented, to call it in. The tag number on the car, which is a Mazda CX-1 SUV. The license plate is a Florida license plate. The numbers on it are CHRQ41. CHRQ41. If you find that, call the Highway Patrol. Their number is 407-737-2200. We are able to tell you over the phone if you need that repeated.
In 2012, South Florida ophthalmologist Solomon Melgen received $20.8 million in Medicare payments, the highest amount the government health plan for the elderly and disabled paid an individual provider that year, according to a Reuters analysis of federal data released yesterday. A California laboratory received $190 million, the most Medicare paid to a single entity in 2012. Family physician Tatiana Pavlova Greenfield, who practices in Maryland, may have received an average of more than $86,000 per patient that year, according to the Reuters review, and $3.3 million in total. That compares to an average of $2,200 per Medicare patient in 2012. Asked for comment, an employee at the office where Greenfield worked said she had left the country, reported by Reuters.
This story, released by the Associated Press just 15 minutes ago, says an Australian aircraft detected what may be the fifth signal coming from a man-made device deep in the Indian Ocean, adding to hopes that searchers will soon pinpoint the object's location and send down a robotic vehicle to confirm if it is a black box from the missing Malaysian jet that has been sought for almost, or maybe more than a month now. The Australian Air Force P-3 Orion, which has been dropping sonar buoys into the water near where 4 earlier sounds were heard, picked up a possible signal that may be from a man-made source, according to Angus Houston, who is coordinating the search off of Australia's west coast. The acoustic data will require further analysis overnight, Houston said in the statement.
Imagine a world where drones never have to touch the ground after takeoff. That's what MIT PhD candidate Joseph Moore did, and now he's on the cusp of creating a drone that can perch on power lines just like birds to recharge its batteries. Mr. Moore gave Business Insider a demonstration of the technology that he's perfecting. He used a glider as proof of concept. In short, if a drone is equipped with a magnetometer, it should be possible to make the aircraft capable of identifying magnetic fields given off by power lines, home in on the signal they emit, and then maneuver in such a way that would allow the drone to perch until fully charged, reported by the Washington Times.
Listen to this story from ABC News. Bode Beardnow realized that his father was trapped under his snowmobile with severe leg injuries, and his son was unable to dig him out. So the boy, who was 9 years old, started walking miles to help through the snow. He walked miles for help through the snow, even though he did not know which way to go. Bode and his father, JT, who are from Marin County, California, were snowmobiling in Lake Tahoe on Sunday when the accident occurred. I jumped off my snowmobile and tried to dig him out, the fourth grader told ABC News. I dug him out as fast as I could, but my fingers got numb, so Bode decided to look for help. With no cell phone reception and no GPS, he trekked across miles of snow. It was really hard because I didn't know which way to go, he told reporters. He was able to track down a tour group who radioed for help and then led the rescuers to his dad. JT Beardnow was airlifted to the hospital and received emergency surgery for a broken leg. Bode's mother, identified as Tina Shaw, credits her son's even-keeled demeanor for the rescue. She said, I was so upset, but then I thought he is such a calm kid. He is so grounded. He is such a hero. Walked 9 miles through the snow so he could get help for his father.
Gosh. Kirstie Alley spoke up again, defending her circus fat comment from a recent Jenny Craig commercial, this time on the Rachel Ray Show. In the commercial, Alley says, I'm not like circus fat, I just want to lose 20 pounds. The actress in a taping of the Rachel Ray Show said, I say I'm not fat, I'm just circus fat. I've just gained 30 pounds. Well, first of all, I'm talking about myself. And second of all, I grew up in an era where my dad would take me to the fair and to the circus, and they actually had fat ladies in the circus. I am talking about myself, and also I think I can call myself whatever I want to call myself, unquote. She added that she understands the old days of having people laugh at an obese woman in the circus is hideous. Ray agreed Alley should be able to call herself whatever she wants. This will be Alley's second stint with Jenny Craig after she resigned as one of the spokeswomen 6 years ago after losing 75 pounds with the weight loss company. The episode will air later this month, reported by ABC Entertainment News.
And from the Associated Press, in the latest sign of support for NATO allies in the wake of Russia's annexation of Crimea, the U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer USS Donald Cook will enter the Black Sea today to participate in exercises with regional partners. It is unclear how long the destroyer will remain in the Black Sea, Pentagon spokesman Colonel Steve Warren announced yesterday that the destroyer would enter the Black Sea today for unspecified exercises with partner nations in the Black Sea region. He said the ship's presence in the Black Sea demonstrates our commitment to our allies and to enhance security readiness in the region. A statement from U.S. Naval Forces Europe-Africa said Donald Cook's mission is to reassure NATO allies of the U.S. Navy's commitment to strengthen and improve interoperability while working toward mutual goals in the region. Ever since Russia's troops began appearing in Crimea in February, the United States has sought to reassure NATO allies by raising its military profile in Eastern Europe.
An audit of the Internal Revenue Service's computing systems found numerous weaknesses, giving the agency limited assurance that taxpayer data are protected from unauthorized access, alteration, and disclosure. This new Government Accountability Office report released this month is entitled Information Security. IRS needs to address control weaknesses that place financial and taxpayer data at risk. The objective of the audit is to determine whether IRS's controls over its key financial and tax processing systems are effective in ensuring the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of financial and sensitive taxpayer information, reported by CNS News.
And from ABC News, officially, Mike Huckabee, winner of the 2008 Iowa caucuses, was back in the Hawkeye State on Tuesday to headline a dinner sponsored by an influential social conservative group. Unofficially, though, the former Republican presidential candidate turned Fox News host was there to hold a series of private meetings that lend credence to Huckabee's own recent declarations that he is seriously considering a 2016 bid for the presidency. A source close to Huckabee confirmed to ABC News that while in Iowa, Huckabee met behind closed doors with Governor Terry Branstad, a fellow Republican, and other Republican leaders and officials. In addition, he also huddled with several members of his 2008 campaign team based in the state.
Two brave Democrats voted for President Obama's budget yesterday, preventing another unanimous defeat for their party leader. The rest of the chamber, however, had other plans, sending Mr. Obama's plan to a devastating 413-2 defeat, as most Democrats joined Republicans in rejecting the fiscal year 2015 blueprint. House Republicans staged the vote to be able to argue that Mr. Obama's plans are unpopular on both sides of the aisle, though Democrats said it was a useless vote and said the plan, which Republicans wrote to reflect the president's budget, wasn't actually Mr. Obama's own plan, reported by the Washington Times.
And from CNN, a body found in an Indiana lake has been identified as that of Talika Patrick, the Michigan doctor who has been missing since December. This, according to a statement issued by the Porter County Coroner's Office. Her body was discovered Sunday in Lake Charles, west of Gary, Indiana. The cause and manner of death are still pending further investigation, but are consistent with drowning, according to the coroner. In the statement, an autopsy revealed no trauma, according to an additional part of the statement. The 30-year-old medical resident failed to show up for work on December 6th in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The night before, her 1997 Lexus was discovered abandoned more than 115 miles away in a ditch off of Interstate 94 in Indiana, directly south of the lake where she was ultimately found.
Two former associates of Governor Chris Christie do not have to hand over documents to a legislative committee investigating the traffic jam scandal engulfing the governor, a New Jersey judge ruled yesterday. Former Christie loyalists Bridget Kelly and Bill Stepien had been fighting subpoenas calling for them to turn over documents regarding the plot to create traffic jams in Fort Lee to retaliate against the town's Democratic mayor. The legislative panel asked for the court's help in getting the two to comply, calling the decision one involving complicated and untested jurisdictional issues. Judge Mary Jacobson expressed reservations about using judicial power power to compel the production of documents, reported by the Las Vegas Sun.
And from CNN, a new outbreak of a gastrointestinal illness aboard a cruise ship may have been caused by the norovirus, according to the ship's operator in a statement issued yesterday. At least 66 passengers and 17 crew members came down with a quickly spreading digestive bug aboard the Crown Princess, according to a spokeswoman identified as Karen Candy of Princess Cruises. They have been isolated in their quarters, and the ship has implemented sanitation procedures developed in coordination with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to slow the disease's spread. The Crown Princess, which has room for more than 3,000 passengers, left Los Angeles on Saturday for a 7-day Pacific cruise.
Only 16% of Americans can place Ukraine on a map, and the ones who could not were more likely to want the United States to intervene. The poll, created by political scientists of Dartmouth College, of Harvard University, and of Princeton University, and published in the Washington Post, states that only 1 of 6 Americans could accurately locate Ukraine on the map. The scientists took a sample of 2,066 Americans, and they asked them to pin Ukraine on a high-resolution map. There were pins on every continent except Antarctica, which wasn't included, and some in the Indian, Pacific, and Arctic Oceans and the North Sea. The researchers found that those who less accurately pinned Ukraine's location were more likely to favor U.S. military intervention, reported by UPI.
From the Bleacher Report, the Atlanta Braves wanted to put on a good show for their fans before their 2014 home opener on Tuesday, but things didn't go as planned. During pre-game introductions, the franchise decided to try something new. The plan was to shoot fireworks off from the top of the outfield scoreboard at Turner Field, which the Braves had not done before. Unfortunately, one of the pyrotechnics got a little too close to the American flag above the scoreboard and set the American flag on fire. Luckily, the flag was flame retardant and quickly put the fire out on its own. Atlanta's 11 Alive TV station, I guess, reported that the flag will be replaced and that the Braves will no longer put pyrotechnics on the large scoreboard.
New patients who bought health insurance on the Obamacare exchanges have been stocking up on prescriptions, with one notable exception: birth control. The report from prescription provider Express Scripts shows many more new patients than usual file prescriptions for drugs that fight the AIDS virus, for pain medications, for pricey specialty medications to treat chronic conditions such as multiple sclerosis or rheumatoid arthritis, for anti-seizure drugs, and for antidepressants. But the proportion of prescriptions filled for contraceptives was 31% lower than the average in plans the provider usually handles. That might be ironic, as the issue of paying for birth control became first a partisan battle in Washington, and one that's gone all the way to the Supreme Court, reported by MSNBC.
And from the Fox News, IRS workers in several offices have been openly supporting President Obama, including by wearing pro-Obama clothing and urging callers to re-elect the president in 2012, according to allegations contained in a new government watchdog report. A report by the U.S. Office of Special Counsel released yesterday cited accusations that workers at a Dallas IRS office may have violated federal law by wearing pro-Obama items like shirts, stickers, and buttons. The Hatch Act forbids executive branch workers from engaging in partisan political activity.
Mark your calendars. Hillary Clinton's new memoir is coming out on June the 10th. Clinton's publisher, Simon & Schuster, had announced the date, although the title of the memoir about her time as Secretary of State has not yet been released. A website advertising the book says that the work will share Clinton's candid reflections about key moments during her time as Secretary of State, as well as her thoughts about how to navigate the challenges of the 21st century, reported by MSNBC.
All right, and that's all the time we have for News Bites. And remember, we do this each weekday morning between 8:35 and 9. It gives us a chance to read a bunch of stories to you so that you can get on with your day and not spend all day trying to pay attention to what's going on in this world. Once in a while, we have a story from around town, and today we had at least one from the state of Florida, a tragic one, of that car crash at that child care center. Robin, how many stories did we get out there today?
We had 25 today and 25 yesterday.
Okay. All right, we'll take a little break. Veterans News is coming up. This is The Source, WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. One of the students hurt in the stabbing spree at a Pennsylvania high school is in very critical condition after having surgery again overnight. The 16-year-old suspect held without bail, charged as an adult
with 4 counts of attempted homicide and 21 counts of aggravated assault.
Fox Radio's Tanya J. Powers. A House committee could be voting today on whether to cite former IRS official Lois Lerner with contempt of Congress, and a warrant out for the man investigators say triggered the deadly crash into a daycare center in Florida yesterday, killing a little girl, injuring 14 others, mostly children.
The person that we're looking for, his name is Robert Corchado.
The driver of the SUV, who the Florida Highway Patrol's Wanda Diaz says took off from the scene and who has an extensive criminal record.
Fox Radio's Jeff Manasso. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Want to start reading Marvel Comics? There's no better time than Marvel Now. Each week, look for exciting stories that provide a gateway into the Marvel Universe. It's one-of-a-kind kung fu action and award-winning writer-artist Carrie Andrews' beautifully written